Hello. What have I to say? Who and what is I? Oh, so much of the things that we as human beings get into is based on that. But because we don't realize it and don't acknowledge that how we're defining self has so much to do with what we're feeling and how we're reacting and responding to different things, it gets right past us. A lot of times what's happening is that mind or ego is doing the responding, is doing all the chattering, is the one taking offense, is the one making the judgments. And if we but took a step back from that and just realized it, and I'm not saying to do anything differently. I mean, by all means, be yourself. But watch and observe. It's really handy. Whenever we do it, whenever we take the time to, or just set the intent to be in heart and observing things, oh my God, everything changes. And maybe not at first, and maybe you'll think it's subtly, but I found in the journals, just by journaling, such a tremendous change over time that really couldn't be accounted for and wasn't even noticed, wasn't even seen before I started centering in heart, or whatever that those words represent. I'm not even sure what that is. There just seems to be a pretty good correlation between the center of the chest cavity and that, whatever that is. The portal, the contact, the connection, the beingness, the emptiness, the whatever. They're just names and labels. And why it should have a seemingly physical correspondence, a point in time and space where it would be accessed, that's beyond me. I really don't know. But, it doesn't really matter. I mean, ultimately, what matters? It is what it is. And we each one do pretty much the best that we can. It's just that we've been hoodwinked into what is the best that we can do. And it's been shoved aside and hidden that the point where we take up identity is crucial, is critical. And by choosing our spot of identity, we're choosing the heights to which we can reach. And when we choose the mind, there are certain limits built in that if each one realized, they wouldn't choose that. Or they would say, yeah, this is great, but, they would also begin to be aware of and access the limitlessness that's available via the heart, or that centering, whatever it is. I don't know. And what's an I? Have you tried to chase down your I? I mean, when you find yourself getting upset about something, look at that. You don't have to stop and pause and say or any such nonsense. Just become alert and kind of be the watcher of what's going on, both in front of you and what's flowing through you. And see what's to be seen there. What's acting? Who's upset? And why? And would the greater you say that, do that, feel that way? It's really interesting. by being lied to so much, the mind is so powerful. And when it's been misdirected like this, I mean, you know, it's not even so much that it was against our will. It was totally without our knowledge. You're born as a baby and it starts there, you know, your little body is injected with all of these poisons, and your parents are doing what they believe sincerely and truly to be the right thing for you, you know, and we're told, oh, your boy can't come to school if he doesn't have all of his vaccinations. And so there's a whole system that's been built up that straight from the womb, and even before, but anyway, all the misinformation, the lies, the mistreatment piles on. And our reality is structured for us and not by us. But that's all over. I mean, there's massive waking up going on. And it's not just people that meditate and pursue the spiritual path either. I mean, there's waking up going on everywhere. People are having Kundalini experiences that don't know from nothing about the spiritual path. And it's a lot, so much of what's going on is biological. And the whole thing with, it's my belief that the DNA is restructuring and we're being restored to the junk DNA is coming back online. Let's put it like that. And maybe it's due to the resonance of whatever's emitting from the center of the galaxy. You know, this thing where every 26,000 years, Earth and our solar system line up with the center of the galaxy, the photon belt, whatever it's called, you know, that energy is doing a lot of the restructuring. The solar wind, the CMEs, the coronal mass ejections, there are cosmic rays. Lots of stuff is hitting and penetrating the Earth and our bodies, also because of what's going on with the Earth's magnetic field. It's weakened tremendously, and so it's letting a lot of this stuff in. We're seeing the auroras down even into the States, you know, not just Alaska, but Wisconsin and different places are, we're seeing things that are evidence of the deeper penetration into Earth's atmosphere and us, our beings, of cosmic energies, cosmic rays. And it's neat, don't you think? I mean, isn't it a wild ride so far? I'm having a blast. The awakening, it gets me sometimes, and I ponder, oh my God, how much of this is just freaking biological? How much of it is just got to do with the organic realities of the planetary placements vis-a-vis galactic center? What is an I? And how independent is it of all of that? I mean, these things are a lot of fun to ponder on and to meditate with. And I'm just finding such a love and such a joy that's flowing through and that's accessible. And it's easier to see it in other people. It's easier to feel it now. I'd have to go way, way back to be able to say I was ever an empath. I mean, I shut that kind of thing down pretty tightly. I put the lid on it for most of the decades of my life. I figured I was being practical, and what I was trying to repress was the pain and the difficulty, and I didn't want to feel that. I didn't want to deal with it. I felt like, you know, at a certain point I was a single mom and I had to be functional and yada, yada, yada. You know, we use all kinds of excuses. Ultimately, though, if you back off and look at yourself, you can't really blame yourself for anything, because if you give a fair and honest look, you were doing the best you could. You were making what seemed to be the best decisions at the time. And it's really not fair that we take the you that you are now, that's all grown up and matured and learned so much, and make any kind of a judgment on the you that you were before. I think love is the need of the hour. And if we look through eyes of heart, it is eyes of love and understanding, and such a depth of that I see growing around me everywhere. I see people opening up into things and being willing to look at things and feel things that would have been rejected before. We've been taught to reject so many things that it turns out really were for our growth. We didn't know any better. We did our best then, but oh my God, now, all bets are off. The chains and the locks are just busting open, vanishing, disappearing everywhere. And so I guess maybe I want to make a plea for no judgment. No judgment. Let's not look at things with the wisdom or the vision that we have now, which seems so much more educated than it was then. But if we look with and through eyes of love, we'll have a tremendous compassion, and we'll realize that you did the best you could. And don't let anybody tell you that you're a screw up or that you screwed up with this or that. Throw it off. Throw it out. All this judging, that's just the mind. All of it. And anytime you find yourself in judgment of this or that, of yourself or another, even when we're looking at the dark side, your intuition and your inner voice will teach you and will show you with new vision how to look at that in completely different ways. And so I guess this is a plea to set aside judgment for a bit, at least now and then, and have a new look through eyes of heart and see what can be seen, and more importantly, what can be heard. Your point of intuition, discernment, and attunement is within. It's not in the head. It's not accessible through the head. What the mind does is way different than this. This is on a higher level, and you'll access a higher level of yourself this way, by letting go of the mind's way of viewing, judging, assessing, assigning value, and just running and controlling things. The mind really is the inner Illuminati. It won't always be that way. For the moment, for the present, and for the last, probably several millennia, the mental Earth has bodies just like we do. You have a physical body, but you have an etheric body. You have an astral body. There's different words that people use. An emotional body, a mental body. Well, Earth has these things too. Now, where was I going with that? Got off into mind there for a second. Oh, didn't I? And lost it. But that's okay too. The judging is something we're transcending. And from the mind, it looks, I know what I was saying. I was saying that for the last several millennia, the mental realm has been invaded and taken over by, some more advanced beings whose DNA wasn't split and fractured and made incomplete. Beings who have access to the whole of their potential and their abilities. that are therefore able to function better. If we could use more than the 10 or 20% of the brain that we're accessing, that the nervous system, etc., who and what would we be? Well, there's a good question, but don't try to resolve it with your mind. Right now, the mental plane is dominated by beings that love to muck with us. And that's the bottom line. All of these lies and everything, it's like a spider's web woven by these guys. And you don't need to go there, I guess, as far as fighting and trying to take things back and conquering and all that. That's dualism and duality. And that just keeps us stuck in the muck. I think we learned here in the U.S. With the 9/11 thing, and then they come along with the Patriot Act, and oh, they're going to protect us and take care of us. Oh my God, not. It's invasive and it's terrible. And so things on the outside are used as an excuse for the control mechanism to take more control. They want us to riot and to do these things so they can come in and say, oh, we need more of a police state here. Obviously we can't have this going on. It's not healthy. It's not good. And so here's some more rules and laws. We'll take care of that. Yeah, right. Okay, so we're waking up right, left, and center. That doesn't mean we go brain dead. Just because we're leaving the mental realm behind as far as what controls us, and we're saying, we're going to control that. Just because you go into heart doesn't mean you go brain dead. It's wise and discerning to recognize when you've met your match. And right now in the mental realm, the big boots are in control of things. Okay, that's how it is. We don't need that. We transcend that so fantastically that it's no real loss. The ones doing that only wish they had a heart and our potential, our abilities. And they work so hard to suppress it all because they don't want us putting things together, because they know when we do, they're toast. Gosh, I'm kind of all over the place here, huh? Oh well, I guess sometimes it comes out like that. Is there a wrap-up? Am I finished? Just be in heart. It's okay to be aware of all of that, but watch your reactions to it. And the more we're able to simply watch and observe and identify, oh, that's heart acting there. Oh, that's mind making that judgment. And gee, I really went off on that clerk. What was all that about? What got me so riled up? What part of me got riled up? As we stand back from things and watch and observe, we begin to take dominion within our own self, over our own being. And it's quite a kingdom. It's really going to be something to reign over. Right now, we're still kind of stuck identifying the bits, parts, and pieces of it. We got stuck in the mind for a long time and convinced that's who and what we were, and it's just BS. It's just so not the case. That's just an aspect of being. And it's a major shift that we're making now to recognize that. Our vibration and our frequency is rising, though, and that's very much in support of rising consciousness. The mental plane is at a lower frequency than what we can occupy now. And we can interact there, we can be present there, we can operate there, but no longer be under anyone's control. No longer answer to anyone, bow to anyone or anything or any method or any religion or any philosophy or any teacher or any. You know, we're in process of finding divinity within and letting that rule for a change. You know, how about we identify with that? Hey, ain't life grand? See you again soon.